What's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode here in NHL 22. So in last episode, we simulated the rest of the season. We didn't make any trades, and our team had probably one of the best seasons in Coyotes history, going 54, 23, and 5. It was a really good season for the most part. We got production from a lot of our guys, like Shelley had 41 goals this year, I think it was. Farinacci also had 40-something goals. Like, it seems like a lot of the youth movement in this team is doing pretty good, and then also the veterans are still helping out. And in the system-wise, we do got a lot of good young guys that could come up in play in these playoffs, just depending on if veterans and stuff like that aren't performing up to standards. So our team is looking pretty good depth-wise, and I think we have a good shot at least winning one playoff round in this playoff series. Not in this playoff series, in this playoffs in general. So anyways, we're going to be taking on the San Jose Sharks in this first round, who went 39, 34, and 9, which is not a great record opposed to ours, but they are 5-3 and 2 in their last 10, so they have been trending in the right direction. We actually beat them in the last game of the season, almost 4-0. So hopefully we can beat them in this playoff round and win our first playoff series. But let's take a look at their lines again, just in case you guys did not remember at the end of last episode, because their lineup is not terrible, but it's not great either. So you got a first line of Blichfeld, Eklund, and Robbins. So a young first line. William Eklund's developed really well for them. Second line is a little bit more veteran heavy. You got Timoshev, Couture, and Yanni Gourde. Third line is pretty damn good as well. You got Craig Smith, Isaac Lundestrom, who's also really good, and Chandler Stevenson. And then their fourth line is comprised of Nick Ritchie, Ryan McLeod, and Ryan Hartman. So a little bit more of a grindy fourth line. On the defensive front, this is where they're probably the weakest. You got Ferraro and Salamonson, who's jumped up to an 88, which is pretty crazy. He was a first-round pick in year one. They also have Ryan Merkley and Mark-Edward Vlasic, who's dropped off a lot considering he's 39. And you also have Millman and Tshirgle playing defense, which is a little bit weird. Goalie-wise, they have Kakin and Tucker Tynan, so goalies aren't great either, but they're not terrible. And they are missing Erik Karlsson due to injury at the moment. Erik Karlsson will not return in this playoff round. They also have Wade Allison and Steven Shanahan. So overall-wise, I think we should be able to beat this team because I feel like our team definitely looks a lot better. Like, their offense is actually pretty good, but defense is definitely where they're questionable, and I think we're definitely a lot better than defensively and goalie-wise because we have 283s that simulated really good during the regular season. So I think we should be able to beat them. But anyways, we have a few comments to go over before we actually get into this first-round matchup. So the first one is from HawksFan88. He says, "Great season. Hopefully it leads to success in the playoffs. This team is only going to get better. Also, Ovi is 40 and still putting up 40-goal seasons." So apparently Ovechkin hit another 40-goal season. I don't know if I brought that up in a last episode or not, but let's just take a look at Ovi for fun to see where he is in terms of goal scoring. So yeah, he hit 43 and 82, and he's up to 980 goals in his career, which is absolutely nuts. Wonder if he's going to still play with them next year or not, because he could retire since his contract is up. But yeah, there's that. The next comment is from Bryce Anthony. He says, "Hell of a series, man. Loving it so far. Also, just wanted to say I'm actually starting a post-deadline 14-15 roster build on PS4. Also, already done 3 teams, and you're my inspiration for this. Having a lot of fun doing this. Thanks for the content." Appreciate that, Bryce. I like that you're loving the series, and I like that you're making another roster build on PS4 because there isn't a lot of throwback rosters, I'm pretty sure, on PS4. So if you guys are on PS4, stay tuned for Bryce's build because throwback builds are always the most fun, I find. And then our final comment is from Jeff Brielinski. He says, "Salamonson turned out better here than in my Seattle mode for sure." And yeah, he was telling me back in the, I think, Jeff, you were telling me back in the, what was it, in one of the first episodes, not to draft Salamonson because he doesn't really develop. But it seems like he develops really well here in San Jose, which is interesting. So those were the comments I got in the last episode. Let's get into this first round matchup against San Jose and see if we can win our first playoff series. As last year we took Colorado, who was a good team, to 7 games, so expecting some big things from this young team. Let's see what happens here, and hopefully we do not have to make much line changes in our team in order to win games. But game 1 in Arizona, let's see what happens here. First period, and it's 1-0 us. I like that. Joel Armia gets on the board, not who I was expecting to score the first goal of the playoffs. That's on the fourth line. He was a good free agent signing actually this year. He had a decent amount of points for a fourth liner. What I don't like about that first period, though, is the shots were 9-3 in favor of San Jose. So We do not put a lot of pucks on net in that first period, so I don't know where Shelley and Farinacci are, because those are the type of guys that usually shoot the puck quite a bit. So hopefully they can wake up a little bit in the second period. Second period, and we are now up 3-0. There we go. Shots are now in our favor, so we definitely dominated that second period. Zadina scores and Farinacci score. Farinacci is going to need a huge contract this offseason, or we will give him a 1-year deal and wait till next year. We might have to trade Zadina in the offseason because he's not really living up to his $9 million total, but we are up 3-0 after 2. Shots are 19-17 in favor of us. Let's just see what happens here in the third. See if we can lock this one down here as Nick Ritchie breaks a Lenefeld shutout. Honestly, between a Lenefeld and Campbell, we could just alternate between the two of them in terms of goalies, because both of them have been pretty good this season. Like, if a Lenefeld ever has a really terrible game, we could always play Campbell the next one. But so far, it seems like Lenefeld's playing pretty good, so might as well run with the hot hand, as we're going to win 3-1 in Game 1. We outshot them 30-26 in that game as well, so definitely some good bounce back periods from that first period where we only had 3 shots. Let's take a look at those goals. So, Armia from Jenner and Tracy, so nice to see the free agent signing a trade acquisition, and also a trade acquisition, but a recent call-up in Braden Tracy. Get some points. Zadina from Hayton and Tracy. So Tracy with 2 points in his first playoff game, and Farinacci from Genther. So no points for Shelley, which is kind of a surprise, but that's okay. And let's take a look at the 3 stars in Game 1. Lenefeld gets first star of the game, Tracy the second star, and Zadina the third. Nice. So yeah, that was a good game from Lenefeld. If he plays bad, though, like I said, for 2 straight games or something like that, then we could always just throw in Jack Campbell, because Campbell was really good as our backup this year, so we could always just flip-flop the 2 goalies. But let's get into game number 2. We are still on home ice, as we have a back-to-back with San Jose. Let's see if we can take a 2-0 series lead here. First period, and we are up 2-1. Calvin Shelley gets his first of the playoffs. Last year, he was a little bit quiet in his first ever playoff outing, but this year he looks like he's going to be off to a good start. Picks up his first goal in only his second game. William Eklundin scores a power play goal for them, and Barrett Hayton gives us the lead on the power play. Shots are 12-10 in favor of the Sharks, but we are up 2-1. Second period, and we're still up 2-1. I'm liking our defensive play so far in this series, but we aren't scoring a whole lot, which is not great, but at least we're playing good defensively. Shots are 18-17 in favor of the Sharks, but we are up 2-1. Let's see if we can get some insurance here and go up 3-1 or something like that. That would be nice. Come on, boys. Penalty kill. Nicely done. Love to see the penalty kill do stuff. And Yanni Gord is going to tie the game up at 2, which is not great. Final few minutes here in this third period, and Joachim Blichfeld gives the Sharks the lead. That's not good, but Baudin answers back. Not who I was expecting to score again, but Baudin keeps us alive in this one. And we're going to overtime in game number 2. Shots are 32-25 in favor of the Sharks, but it's a 3-3 game. Let's see what happens here in OT. Can we have an OT hero here? I said here twice. I didn't mean to do that. And there we go. We win in overtime. Boone Jenner, the trade acquisition in the Clayton Keller trade, has given us a 2-0 series lead here, as we managed to beat them despite being outshot 36-28. So another solid game from Lenefeld. And we win 4-3 in OT. So Shelley from Genther and Farinacci, Hayton from Farinacci and Shelley, Baudin from Genther and Farinacci, and Jenner from Yoki Hariu. So Genther and Farinacci and Shelley all had a pretty damn good game, and that's exactly what I need from those young guys. So love to see that. 3 stars of the game. Farinacci the first star with 3 assists, Shelley the second star with 2 points, and Genther the third. So literally the second line is the entire 3 stars in that game. But should be a pretty solid game stats. Yep, solid game stats from Lenefeld. Hopefully he can keep that up this entire series. If not, like I said, we'll turn to Campbell. But we're up 2-0 on the Sharks in the series. But now we flip over to San Jose. Let's see what happens here and see if we can take a 3-0 series lead here with a win on the road. Or is San Jose a better home team than road team? Who knows? First period, and we're up 2-1. Let's go. Mario Ferraro opened the scoring for them pretty early on, but then Hayton and Armia score. Joel Armia is a good playoff player, it seems like. Shots are 11-11, but we're up 2-1, so it seems like after that early goal, Lenefeld just closed down the door the rest of the period, which is good. Like to see him bounce back from that. Second period, and we're still up 2-1. We're being outshot 22-14, so we're definitely not getting a lot of offensive chances, but Lenefeld has just definitely been really good in the series. Let's see what happens here in the third and see if we can take a 3-0 series lead here on San Jose. Can we add some insurance, please, boys? How about Shelley? Nope. Logan Couture scores on the power play, the old man. It's a 2-2 game. Final 10 minutes here of this third period, and we have a power play opportunity, but we do not score on it. Final 3 minutes, and we are in fact going to a second straight overtime, and the Sharks are destroying us in shots, 39-22, which I don't really like, but I like that Lenefeld is at least keeping us in this game, because I wasn't really sold on him going into the playoffs, to be honest, because he's a younger goalie, but right now he's been our best player, I think, on this team. Let's see what happens here in overtime. See if we can get 2 straight OT wins, or are we going to have a 2-1 series lead here after this game? Come on, boys. Who wants to score an OT winner? Penalty kill in OT, and we kill it off. Nicely done. Final few minutes here of this first overtime period. Are we going to double OT? We are getting a lot of chances in this overtime, and there's a goal from Agostino, who had been quiet in the first few games, but we win 3-2 in overtime despite being outshot 46-37. Another incredible game from Lenefeld, and we literally have a 3-0 series lead on the Sharks, and we are 1 win away from winning our first playoff series. So Hayton from Chychrun and Agostino, Armia from Jenner and Tracy, and Agostino from Zadina and Hayton. You know who's been really quiet in this series is Jacob Chychrun. He's only got 1 assist through 3 games, and he had over 90 points in the regular season, so hopefully he could kind of wake up a little bit in terms of offensive production. But yeah, very excited to see how this team actually does the rest of this playoffs. Like, we're looking assimilating really good defensively. We're not assimilating incredibly offensively, which is a bit of a surprise, but right now, Hugo Lenefeld has been amazing. He gets first star, Hayton the second star, and Agostino the third. So we have a 3-0 stranglehold on San Jose. Can we win this game and go on to the second round? Or is San Jose going to survive? Let's see what happens here. Game number 4, still on the road. Let's go, boys. Come on. First period of game 4. And we're down 1-0. So we're trailing after a period, which I think is the first time that's happened. Logan Couture with the only goal on 7 shots. So this might be a bad game for Lenefeld. Who knows? But at least he only allowed 1 goal in that period. Shots are 11-7 in favor of us. Second period, and we're up 3-1. Let's go. Let's go. That was a good bounce back period. Bonde, Agostino, and Zadina. Shots are 24-14 in favor of us. We're up 3-1, and we're a period away from going to the second round for the first time. Let's see what happens. See if we could lock down this series and this game. But yeah, so far I've been really impressed with our defensive play and Lenefeld especially. Like, our offense definitely needs to wake up a little bit. Zadina scores to make it 4-1. I'll take that. And then Ludenstrom scores to make it 4-2. So this is probably Lenefeld's worst game. 2 goals on 20 shots. But we are, in fact, going to be going to the second round of the playoffs for the very first time with a nice 4-0 sweep over the San Jose Sharks, which is great. Let's take a look at the player stats in that game. So Bodine from Timmins and Tracy, Agostino from Timmins and Zadina, Zadina from Hayton and Agostino, and Zadina from Agostino and Hayton. So looks like it's the same 5 players that had the most points in that game. Let's take a look at the stats. So yeah, those players were all like +3, which is kind of funny. But our line of like Farinacci and Shelley was minus, which is kind of a bummer, but whatever. Goalie-wise, yeah, another solid game for Lenefeld. Goals against-wise, save percentage-wise is definitely his worst game, but a very good first round from Hugo. And like I said, if he plays bad, we could just turn to Jack Campbell. First star of the game goes to Zadina, the second star goes to Agostino, and the third star to Timmins. Not too bad. So that was a pretty damn good first round as we win in 4 games only. Let's take a look at our player stats, and then we will sim up to the second round and take a look at who we're facing in round number 2. But a pretty quick first round of the playoffs. Let's take a look at those player stats. So Baird Hayton, 6 points in 4 games. Really like to see that. +6 as well, which is good. Farinacci, 4 points in 4 games and even 0. Jenner had 3 points, which is great to see that, considering he was brought in the Keller trade and he's only got 1 year left. Connor Geeky, not too bad either, but actually not too bad. He was terrible, I would say. Only like no points, a -2 in 4 games, and 3 shots. So there's a chance we could always move Geeky back to the 4th line, and then Jenner could go back up, but not too sure if I will for sure. Ponomarev was also really quiet. So there's a little bit of questionable parts in terms of our scoring, but hopefully that wakes up for round 2 because we were a very good defensive team in that first round. Zadina was over point per game, which is kind of a surprise considering he wasn't great during the regular season. Agostino over point per game still. Tracy was point per game, which is crazy. And Genther was almost point per game. So very good stuff from our wingers. And then right wing wise, Armia, 2 goals in 4 games is pretty solid. Shelley was pretty quiet, 2 points in 4 games, only 1 goal. So hopefully he wakes up a little bit in scoring. He did have 10 shots though, and nothing from Julian Gauthier. As for our defense, Bonin, Jokiharju, Timmins had 2 points, and they're both really good plus-minus wise. Jokiharju and Chikrin only had 1 point apiece. Hopefully Jacob wakes up a little bit because of his season stats. Soderstrom also needs to wake up. He had no points. But Samorukov, very quiet offensively, but a +5. I like that defensive play. And then Hugo Lenefeld was a nuts of a machine. 4-0 with a 937 and a 1.84. Love to see that. We're definitely going to have to give him a big contract in this offseason if we want to keep him around. But, yeah, that's a pretty damn good first round for this team. Now comes the fun part of seeing who we're facing in the second round. Then we'll also take a look at our team stats just to see if our power play has been clicking well and our penalty kill and all that type of thing. But who are we going to be facing in round 2? And hopefully the AHL team's still in the playoffs. No, it doesn't look like it. No, they got eliminated. Wow. That AHL team does good in the regular season, but they can't win in the playoffs. Just kind of a surprise. In round 2, we are going to be taking on the Winnipeg Jets, who used to be the Atlanta Thrashers, but obviously the Arizona Coyotes used to be Winnipeg back in the old days. But both these teams had incredible seasons with over 50 wins. Winnipeg is 9-1 in their last 10 games as well, which is pretty damn scary. And yeah, hopefully we have a chance to beat them. For other playoff matchups, you got Ottawa and Toronto, so that's pretty cool. Philadelphia and Carolina. And then the other matchup in the West is LA and Edmonton. Interesting. Well, let's take a look at our team stats quickly before we see who Winnipeg looks like. Just because I'm kind of curious on terms of our goals for and all that. So, goals for per game wise, the best offensive team in the penalty, or actually for us, I'm trying to more figure out. Where are we? Actually, this is Eastern Conference. I didn't realize that. In terms of goals for per game, we were one of the best offensive teams so far in the playoffs, which is good. And in comparison to Winnipeg, actually, we'll just do a comparison. We scored less goals per game than the Winnipeg Jets. We actually were better defensively than them. Our power play really struggled. It was 1 for 7, so we might need to change up our power play unit going into next round. That's something we could definitely adjust. And in penalty kill percentage is also a little bit worse than the Jets, so we might need to address our penalty kill as well. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So we won all 4 games despite our power play not doing too well. So I think we'll definitely need to address our power play going into next episode. But let's take a look at those Winnipeg Jets and see what they're made of. Probably still have guys like Scheifele, I would assume. Now let's see, Winnipeg, there they are. So top line is Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Christian Vesalainen. So that's a nasty top line. Vesalainen's a little bit weak, but that's still a really good first line. Second line, Philip Kurashev, Cole Perfetti, and some guy named Phil Kessel who was with us a few seasons ago. He's dropped off a lot, but still playing pretty good in Winnipeg apparently. Third line has Nicholas Aube-Kubel with Jack Roslovic, who returned to Winnipeg. That's interesting. Okay. And Pierre-Luc Dubois is there, so we're seeing Dubois and Roslovic playing together, considering both were traded for each other, partially. Fourth line, you have Matthew Joseph, Nick Bukestad, and Christian Fisher, another former Coyote. Of course, there has to be former Coyotes players on this team. We let him go to free agency. He signs in Winnipeg, and now we're going to be playing him next round. Defensively, holy crap, they're good defensively too. Josh Morrissey and Neil Pionk is a pretty good top 2 pairing. They also have Brett Pesce, which is a really good pickup, and Ville Heinola. And then the top 6 is comprised of Ian Mitchell and Connor Clifton. So yeah, this team is definitely going to be tough to beat, and they do not have Connor Hellebuck. So Hellebuck must have went to free agency, which is interesting. But they do have Sorokin and Matt Murray, so 2 good goalies that they could alternate between the 2, just like we can with Campbell and Lenefeld. Depth-wise, they have Nick Kanen. Ehlers is out with an injury. That's huge. And Ryan Poehling. So if Ehlers is out, how long is he out for? That's another thing I got to take a look at. So Ehlers would normally be on that top line, which means Vesalainen would be down. I would assume Phil Kessel would be out of the lineup if that is the case. But then again, it could be Fisher or Owe Kubul as well. But yeah, that team would be nasty with Ehlers being back. So hopefully he does not come back in this round. But yeah, let's take a look at what his injury is and how long he's out for. Because if he's out for a long time, we might actually have a shot of beating them. But otherwise, I don't know if we're going to be able to because of how good they are. But let's see, he's out till May the 12th, which means he's only out for 10 days, which means he will return this round as he broke his hand, apparently. Let's see, when is he going to be returning for? He will return for an all-important Game 7 if he is back to full health by then. Or he could return potentially, who knows, for like a Game 6. But we might not have to see Nick Ehlers this round, depending on if we go to a Game 7 or not. So that is that, and I think that's pretty much it. Actually, let me take a quick look at rating comparison-wise. I just want to see who has the better ratings on paper. So we have 93, 92, 84. So we're better offensively and defensively, but they have a goalie edge, which is interesting. I didn't see what it said. I want to see what it said for theirs, because I have to click A multiple times. 92, 89, 84, I think it said. So I think we're actually tied goalie-wise, and we're better than them in the other areas, which is kind of a surprise in my book. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to round 2 against the Winnipeg Jets and see if we can beat them, because it's probably going to be our toughest task in this playoff round. Because if we get into the conference finals, I feel like LA might not be that tough, and Edmonton would probably be pretty tough too. But anyways, let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.